What's up? This is kind of a channel shout out. His name is Roald Boom. Some of you may know of him, hopefully. In his latest video, he does a very good job of describing what is usually, well, it's fundamentally the main problem that anybody comes up on if they're moseying along the so-called spiritual path or the path to enlightenment, self-remembrance, all these words, but what people come up against, and I did, it doesn't really bother me anymore, but what you come up against is it's that grasping nature of the mind that wants this truth thing to be, it wants to be able to categorize it, put it in a box, call it something, give it a name, give it a measurement, create a story about it or for it, and all of that is completely impossible, because whatever it is that we're talking about that we would like to reach or get or be, truth, the divine, the absolute, whatever it is that we're grasping at, it can't be grasped. So you're literally, if you're trying to grab wind or something and hold it in your hand, and you can feel it passing over your fingers, but you can't grab it. And for that matter, you can't do anything with it. You can't get there or get away from there. You can't, it's impossible to talk about, although you can spend many words trying to talk about it. It remains unchanged, no matter what you do or don't do about it. And it's what you could call truth, or like Roald calls it, the absolute. And it's the eternal, and it's what you are at your base or your core, and it isn't a thing. That's why they call it nothingness or emptiness, because it's formless, it's beyond everything, all things. If you can see it or categorize it or put it in a box, if you can talk about it, if you can conceive of it in your mind, then it's not that, because that's changing. The thing that you're looking at is changing. Your eyeballs inside your head are changing. Your thought structures are constantly changing. Questions are constantly coming and going, And that just points back to the dualistic nature of the realm, where everything has an opposite and everything's in a constant flux. And we get, we like it on one hand because it provides it allows us to have things like extreme joy, but then for us to be able to have those, we have to also have the extreme lows or severe depression. It allows some people to be super rich and have all kinds of toys and fast cars, but then for that to exist, there have to be all the people on the streets, there have to be the homeless people in a dual realm. Every single thing there that can be categorized has to have its opposite in order to exist. Otherwise, they meld together and go back to unity or wholeness. And the nature of this place is separation, so all that stuff is natural. It's natural to have rich people and poor people. It's natural to have people split and divided over issues that come up and be polarized and fighting and choosing camps. All this stuff is normal for the realm. But that thing which people are trying to talk about, the spiritual people, is the thing that you can't talk about, which is another paradox, and it's ironic and funny at the same time. And like Roald says, it's the silence, or it's the awareness that's behind all of everything in your own body, everything that's coming out of your mouth, thoughts. It's a subtle, infinite distance. It's not even a distance. Like I said, you can't say anything about it. There's nothing to say. You can say stuff, but it's not it's not touching what you're trying to touch. So You know, there's no harm in doing that. It's just relativity, like what he's saying. Everything that comes through the senses is automatically a distortion. So if you're trying to find this truth, this absolute truth with your mind via conceptualization, via words, or you're trying to find it in a book, you're trying to find it from a wise person or someone that you consider holy, you can't do it. You can try, you can feel like you're doing it, but eventually you realize that no, that wasn't it either. And you know, that search goes for a really long time, and it can last seemingly forever until the mind tires itself of asking questions, at which point you become content just to rest. But you can't force that either. That has to just happen. So I drank kombucha, and stomach feels a little weird, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'll leave a link to Roald's channel or his last video in the description box, and he's good. Yeah, check him out.